Hello everyone, my name is Beatrice Muturi. I'm currently a student at the California Intercontinental University. Today I'll be presenting this topic on conducting a chi-square test of independence as partial requirement of course 605. The agenda of this presentation is about importing data using the PSPP to conduct the chi-square test. The first chi-square test is numbers versus cars, and the column is the number versus default. The second chi-square test is the rows are like versus discomfort, and columns are numbers versus defaults. The third chi-square test is rows are numbers versus cars, and the columns are like versus comfort. And then at the end of the discussion or presentation, we are going to talk about the important takeaways from conducting a chi-square test of independence. Numbers versus cars and numbers versus default. The first hypothesis test. The following chi-square test was conducted numbers versus cars and number default, and the null hypothesis states that there is no relationship between number of cars and number of defaults, and the alternative hypothesis states that there is a relationship between the number of cars and number of defaults. The chi-square statistics and its p-value were calculated using the PSPP, assuming the alpha is 0.05. No relationship emerged, and the chi-square test failed to reject the null hypothesis, concluding that there is no relationship between the number of cars and the number of defaults. The second hypothesis test was based on like and comfort and number of defaults, and the null hypothesis states that there is no relationship between like and comfort and number of defaults, and the alternative hypothesis states that there's a relationship between like comfort and number defaults. The chi-square statistics and its p-value were calculated using the PSPP, assuming again the alpha equals to 0.05. Here no relationship emerged. The chi-square test failed to reject the null hypothesis, concluding there is no relationship between like, comfort, and number of defaults. The third hypothesis was conducted using the chi-square test, was on number of cars and like and comfort, and the null hypothesis states that there is no relationship between a number of cars and like and comfort. And the alternative hypothesis, on the other hand, states that there is a relationship between the number of cars and the like and comfort. The chi-square statistics and its p-value were calculated using the PSPP, and a relationship emerged. The chi-square test rejected the null hypothesis, concluding there is a relationship between the number of cars and like and comfort. Cramer's V indicated a perfectly symmetrical relationship between number of cars and like and comfort. The important takeaways from this presentation is that first you have to start by stating your hypothesis, the null hypothesis and the alternative hypothesis, and then you go about to find whether there's any significance or not. The last slide before this one, the previous slide before this one, mentions about the Cramer's V. Cramer's V is a statistic used to measure the strength of association between two nominal variables, and it takes values from 0 to 1. Values close to 0 indicate a weak association between the variables, and values close to 1 indicate a strong association between the variables. This brings us to the end of this presentation. Thank you for your time. If you have any questions or suggestions, please comment below. Thank you.